Hey guys, welcome back to Trendy Gadget. Today, we'll talk about why AMD RX6800 or 6900 is way worse than NVIDIA's RTX 3080 Ti or 3090. Let's head into it. RTX 3080 Ti versus AMD RX6800. With the RX6800, the image is not particularly clear as there are several variables that muddy the water. Firstly, compared with the 3080 Ti, it's $50 cheaper, at least considering launch prices. For some game titles, this is good news, as the card match or improve the RTX 3080 Ti in many areas, and where it fell short, well, it costs less, so they could be forgiven to some extent. And in these situations, AMD still has a great product. Occasionally, it is at 4K, where it seems to fall short on expectations, where it was regularly slower than the RTX 3080 Ti, even outside of ray trace scenarios. It doesn't happen anywhere, but there was the same trend in the majority of titles I benchmarked. Again, it costs less, and it may well be helped by Smart Access Memory and PCIe 4.0, and we might look at this in a future video. As always, ray tracing is quite game dependent, but assuming you're using DLSS, NVIDIA is always much faster. To quote the view of PC Gamer on DLSS 2.0, DLSS 2.0 is an effective and immediate gateway to a gratuitous performance bump with little to no visual impact, so I believe this evaluation is fair and use it in these benchmarks. RTX 3090 versus AMD RX6900. The RTX 3090 rules the roost in terms of memory capacity. The memory is also faster and the memory bus is wider than the 6900, but that's not the whole story. It claims that the 6900 has an effective memory bandwidth of 1664 GB per second thanks to AMD's new Infinity Cache. Despite its greater quantity and higher speed, that's almost 1.8 times the memory bandwidth of the RTX 3090, depending on the workload and whether shared memory access uses some of the GDDR6 for general system performance. It's likely that Infinity Cache will not always offer that kind of uplift, hence the choice of effective wording by AMD. Still, in some scenarios, it's an intriguing possibility that the AMD card may offer much greater memory bandwidth. In-game, AMD argues that in most titles, the RX 6900 can match the RTX 3090. In Forza Horizon 4 and Battlefield 5, its benchmarks show an improvement. However, some games on AMD's hardware run slightly worse, including Wolfenstein, Youngblood, and The Division 2. Benchmarks for manufacturers are usually not the most reliable, so until we see third-party outcomes, we remain skeptical.
Never before seen gameplay with gorgeous graphic, ray tracing, and fidelity effects running on the Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards.
Frames don't tell the full story per second. Rage mode, a one-click overclocking utility, and smart access memory in AMD's benchmarks give the RX 6900 some help. For RX 6000 series cards, smart access memory is a new feature that allows the Ryzen 5000 CPU and 500 series chipset to use the ultra-fast GDDR6 memory of the GPU. Using both can offer up to a 13% performance improvement, according to AMD. During its October 28 RX 6000 disclosure event, AMD didn't provide benchmarks with these features disabled. However, we can guess. Forza Horizon 4, with Rage Mode and Smart Access Memory at 4K, AMD claimed that the cheaper 6900 had a 13% performance improvement. Based on that, with the 6900, we'd expect to see around 150 FPS, not 169 FPS in Forza Horizon 4. An interesting feature is Smart Access Memory, but that's a niche if you don't have a Ryzen 5000 CPU and a motherboard with a 500 series chipset. Expect slightly reduced performance across the board.
As AMD predicted when we asked about its impact on productivity, Smart Access Memory made no difference here.
In ray tracing and AI-driven upscaling, NVIDIA has been the only option for the past few years. That changes with the RX 6900 though. The RDNA 2 architecture of AMD includes its proprietary hardware ray accelerator in each computing unit, giving 80 of them to the RX 6900. As part of DirectX 12, they work in tandem with Microsoft's DXR to deliver ray trace lighting in all current ray tracing games, as well as future DXR-driven ray trace games such as Far Cry 6, World of Warcraft Shadowlands, and Godfall.
I'm here to talk about Far Cry 6 and some of the new technologies we've been collaborating with AMD on to make our game the most immersive.
For the past few years, NVIDIA has been pushing hardware-accelerated ray tracing, first with GPUs from the RTX 20 series, and now with the RTX 30 series line. The RTX 3090 comes with new ray tracing cores from NVIDIA, and they help keep frame rates high with ray tracing enabled, based on reviews. Conclusion. For now, with these cards, we don't have any comprehensive head-to-head ray tracing benchmark results, but early comparisons of AMD's own numbers and some independent testers indicate that the 6900 is likely to be significantly lower in ray tracing performance than the RTX 3090, just as the 6800 is worse than the RTX 3080 Ti. DLSS has been a talking point for Team Green too. In recent years, NVIDIA has made impressive improvements to its AI drive upscaling technology, allowing the RTX 3090 to hit 8K in a range of titles near 60 FPS. If you have an 8K display, that is. AMD is working on a version of super resolution, but it remains unclear if it's hardware accelerated or not. For now, DLSS gives NVIDIA a huge performance advantage in supporting games, which is why AMD's RX6800 and 6900 for the time being are way worse than NVIDIA's RTX 3080 Ti and 3090. What do you think about the RX6800 and 6900? Do you agree that they are way worse than NVIDIA's RTX 3080 Ti and 3090? Let us know in the comment section. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.